Hi-Fi people, hello. Welcome to my channel, Stereo Review X. I'm trying to give you the inside track, what I know about hi-fi, and kind of, you know, stop you wasting a load of money along the way, which I've already done. So anyway, today we're going to look at this Pioneer amplifier. This is more or less from the classic era. You know, it's got the retro sound, if you know what I mean. I will explain that to you in a minute. The sound that people hanker after, some people at least, not probably me, but it's got a certain sound, yeah. 1978, 25 watts a channel. I looked on eBay this morning. You probably get one of these for something like £110, yeah. Around £110. Now I brought in some other bits and pieces that actually are from an identical year, 1978, because it's going to shed some light on the situation, and we can you know, get some context about what sounds good and why. So we have here Harmon Kardon HK 450 radio amplifier, yeah. That's 30 watts, yeah, and I played it, and even though it's only 5 watts more, it does seem to have significantly more heft, if you know what I mean. And here, I'll take this off, Kef, begins with C, damn, can't remember, Kef, gonna have to look, hang on, Kef Chorale, Kef Chorale speakers, yeah. By the way, you know, you will see this combination in many other people's speakers. That's the Kef B200 and a T27. You see that in a whole bunch of speakers around at that time, because Kef used to sell their drivers to other companies. But I bring those out because those are the sort of speakers, you know, that people would have bought with this amp. And there's a reason for that, and they kind of go together. Okay, so quickly I'm going to do the sound of this, and then I'm going to go into a proper detail about the sound. I mean, I'll just do the front for you. Nothing really remarkable, I guess, apart from the VU meters, which are fun. You know, these, you know, signal the signal strength. I mean, VU, to me, they're fun. I mean, you might use them because if you look at it and it's like one is not registering as high as the other, you might realize one channel is quieter. Could be useful like that, but I mean, most times I think it's kind of for fun, to be honest. So you've got two sets of speakers, bass, treble, balance, loudness, tape monitor, tuner, phono and aux. So your CD player can go into tuner or aux. No mono button, if you like a mono button, no mono button. And 25 watts a channel. Okay, what does it sound like? From the heyday of Pioneer, you know, and Pioneer were just massive at this point in time. Maybe they stole a lot of the limelight to get, you know, and from other people. So I'll do the sound really simply and then go into detail. It's a warm sound. It's got probably an unreally raised bass, or bass and sort of upper bass, yeah. It's kind of bigger than it, just bigger than it should be, yeah. It's probably not the most spacious sound. Not the most spacious sound. It's okay for detail. Do you know what I mean? It's okay for detail. Now, if we think about these speakers, what is interesting is that this amp, with its certain sound where you get a lot of mid bass, it kind of forces a good sound out of these things, yeah. You know, if you had if you had, say, a valve amp and you put it into these speakers, it kind of wouldn't respond enough. You know, you probably just feel like there was nothing happening. So, you know, maybe there's something about the speakers that were around at the time that needed to sort of punch it out, you know. So look, I'm going to go through a bunch of songs, and you can listen to these songs too at home, and you'll really know by the end of this what this amp sounds like, you know. Okay, so let's just talk about this Harmon Kardon here. I put this here because it's not such a well-known name, you know. Hi-fi people know Harmon Kardon, but if you're very new to hi-fi, you probably know Pioneer very well. Pioneer made loads of, you know, attention-grabbing receivers that are very famous. But they definitely stole a lot of the spotlight, and it's not necessarily to do with the fact that they sound fantastic, yeah. Though, let me just say, you know, all the amps I review, this actually isn't my amp, by the way, but if you're familiar with the stuff I review, these are all my amps, and most of them are here because they sound good. So whatever I say about this, I'm judging it from a fairly high standard, and I would say, you know, this would outperform things by Trio, Sony, Realistic, what's the other names I had here? JVC, yeah, Aiwa, probably Hitachi, though I think Hitachi made a few nice power amps apparently. But you know, this is a better thing, yeah, from the world of the late 70s hi-fi. So, okay, again, I'm just going to say here, even though we're reviewing this, I'm just going to say this amp is similar sounding to this one, only quite frankly, it's a bit better. It kind of does what this does, but better. And it's a little bit more detailed, but it's not famous. No one knows Harmon Kardon from that period in particular, and this isn't a wanted thing on eBay and places like that. So you probably actually get this for like 80 quid, if you can find one, yeah. And this is like 110 quid. These speakers, by the way, are around the same, 120 quid, something like that. So the point I'm making here is, this is the under the radar item, and this happens a lot in stereo world, that some things just grab all the attention, it sends the prices up, and everyone wants it and knows about it. There are things that are sneaking, that are, you know, not seen, going under the radar, that are the bargains, you know. But anyway, okay, right, gonna do this, what I usually do, which is go through 4 songs in detail and tell you how this Pioneer performs. Okay, first song I did was Take It Easy. I always do the same songs, by the way. Take It Easy by the Eagles. Okay, and these are my notes, and I just write these notes as I listen, and I'm just going to give them to you straight back. So Take It Easy by the Eagles. Pumping bass, yeah, slightly fat. That's what this amp does. It gets you into the rhythms of songs, yeah, because it kind of ups the bass a bit, and the sort of upper bass, it's slightly exaggerated, and that kind of makes it come out of these speakers somehow, you know, sort of forces it out of speakers. So okay, pumping bass, slightly fat, it's enjoyable, it's toe tapping, I'm feeling the rhythm, you know. Okay separation, yeah, it's not a, you know, it's a decent machine, you're getting nice separation. Tiny bit harmonies are inauthentic. I mean a tiny bit, and I'm judging it against, you know, some more expensive stuff, like say like Name, which is obviously in a different league, but also other Sansui amps that I have, which I always find really authentic, you know. But you know, a minor point here, tiny bit inauthentic, you know, in the group harmonies. And I've also got here, this is a warm, enveloping sound, yeah, just kind of very forwards, and it's not terribly spacious or deep, but it's enjoyable, you know, and it kind of rocks along, you know. You probably really enjoy things like Led Zeppelin, you know, will probably really you know, you just get hold of it good, you know. Okay, second song I'm doing is Alison Krauss, Now That I Found You. It's a very sort of spacious song, lovely female vocals, modern recording, really brilliant recording, you know. Again, I got here enveloping sound, some space missing, yeah? That's the kind of the deal you get with this. It is not wide open spacious, yeah? It's kind of intense and coming at you. Definitely heard better and not magical, yeah? Some other amps will just make that song sound really spacious and, you know, ethereal and involving. Kind of doesn't come off with this one, you know? It's kind of the sort of sound that this isn't good at, yeah? Okay, next song I'm doing is Too High by Stevie Wonder, which is a brilliant song. I've got here bassy, a bit like the loudness is on, yeah? So you're hearing more bass than you normally would. Not quite enough space, we've said that before, so you get that. It's nice though, and it's still enjoyable, yeah? It's still getting a kick out of it. I'm following the bass. So this is interesting, because some songs, if they're giving you that more bass, suddenly you start following that, you know, that becomes the point of interest. And with a different amp it won't, it might be the vocals or the incidental sounds, you know, or whatever. But because this has kind of got this bass lift, I'm following the bass. And I've also put here, the bass is articulate, yeah? It's not flabby and too flabby and soft, and, you know, which can happen with some Japanese amps, you know, amps that aren't very good. I mean, just to note, the bass on this Harmon Kardon would be a bit better, would be a bit tighter, you know, and a bit firmer, but still very big. This makes an even more luxurious sound than this. Okay, last song I do is a song called The Right Profile by The Clash, which I do because it's chaotic and it's got a load of mid frequencies. Okay, I've got here big bass, yeah? Again, the bass is big and bit cramped. This song has lots of funny noises and like one-off instruments making funny sounds, and it's sort of, I don't know, it's a bit like a carnival, do you know what I mean? Like all funny different noises. It's an interesting thing to listen to, but it sounded a bit cramped on here, you know, because this one, it's just not having the space, do you know what I mean? But also I'm hearing some things I haven't heard before, you know, so, you know, it's not all bad. So okay, yes, so okay, that should give you the picture of the, you know, of what this sounds like. So just to sum it up, I would say as a vintage amp goes, this is better than most, yeah? It's better than a whole bunch of them. It has the classic, the vintage sound, which some people really like, yeah? Some people really like this. It's literally, you know, what they prefer. If I was a teenager, I would probably think this was great. But because I've been, you know, got into the finer details of the whole hi-fi world now, this amp isn't for me, yeah? It just isn't for me. I just want a bit more refinement, and I want the bass to be good, but I don't want it coming, you know, being bigger than it should be. You know, if you have really nice speakers, you'll get the limitations of this amp, yeah? And actually, if you've got what would I say? Yeah, but what I say is that this type of amp, it does work with a speaker like this, which is a closed box, by the way. There's no port. So ports allow you to get lower bass out of, allow you to get more bass and lower bass, yeah? So having the extra bass on here kind of forces these bookshelf speakers of the day to deliver kind of what you want. It's kind of like an antidote to the problem of that speaker, is this mid bass lift. But I would say, yeah, you know, it's a classic amp. I would say something about, let's just say something about Pioneer generally. What I said before, they stole a lot of the spotlight, mostly through extreme advertising and their receivers looking good. And I think they just advertised their way to success. But I would say they got more success, and today they're kind of looked back on like a really great sound. I don't think it's that great. Yeah, I think they've just managed to get a better reputation than they really deserve. That's how I would see it. Another point worth noting is Pioneer receivers I've heard, they don't sound quite as good as this amp. Yeah, there's a thing where amps generally sound better than tuner amps because of the compromise of trying to get a radio inside too. And you know, when you're doing a just solo dedicated amplifier, you can design everything, and I don't know, it's about how spacious the circuit board is. I don't truly get it, but there is some truth in that. And this would sound better than like the SA-506, I think, which is about 25 watts. I think this sounds better, you know, because it's a solo amp. So yeah, I think that's it. This is a real bargain if you can get hold of one. And I'm going to do stuff on these speakers and some modern Kef speakers soon. And if you want to share anything, you know, share all your information. If you know you've got stuff that sounds great, just tell us about it, and you know, it will all add to our knowledge base, so to speak. Okay, thank you. See you again. Bye for now.